हरि ओम। ओम श्री गणेशाय नमः। ओम श्री हिरण्यगर्भाय नमः। ओम श्री महाविष्णवे नमः। ओम श्री महादेवाय नमः। ओम श्री महादुर्गायै नमः। ओम श्री राम रामाय नमः। ओम श्री सद्गुरवे नमः। ओम सहनावतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ओम शांति शांति शांतिः। ओम गुरुर्ब्रह्मा गुरुर्विष्णुः गुरुर्देवो महेश्वरः गुरुरेव परब्रह्म तस्मै श्री गुरवे नमः। समस्त जन कल्याणे निरतं करुणामयं नमामि चिन्मयं देवं सद्गुरुं ब्रह्मविद्वरम्। शंकरं शंकराचार्यं केशवं बादरायणं सूत्रभाष्यकृतौ वन्दे भगवन्तौ पुनः पुनः। श्रुतिस्मृतिपुराणानामालयं करुणालयं नमामि भगवत्पादशङ्करं लोकशङ्करम्। सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम्। ईश्वरो गुरुरात्मेति मूर्तिभेदविभागिने व्योमवद्व्याप्तदेहाय दक्षिणामूर्तये नमः। शंकरं परमानन्दं ब्रह्मनिष्ठं यतीश्वरं भाष्यभ्रान्तिहरं वन्दे शुद्धज्ञानैकबोधकम्। ॐ नमः शिवाय 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 ॐ नमः शिवाय। नमः पार्वती पतये। हर हर महादेव। हरि ओम हरि ओम। We'll begin with the Shanti mantra. Om आप्यायन्तु ममाङ्गानि वाक् प्राणश्चक्षुश्रोत्रमथो बलमिन्द्रियाणि च सर्वाणि सर्वं ब्रह्मोपनिषदं माहं ब्रह्म निराकुर्याम् मा ब्रह्म निराकरोत्। अनिराकरणमस्त्वनिराकरणं मे अस्तु तदात्मनि निरतेयोपनिषत्सु धर्माः te mayi santu, te mayi santu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. So we are studying this Chandogya Upanishad. It has 8 chapters. The first 5 chapters reveal different types of upasanas, and the last 3 chapters focus on revealing the knowledge of Brahma. Adi Shankaracharya ji has written a very beautiful commentary on this Upanishad. So in the beginning, to introduce this chapter, 6th chapter, Shankaracharya ji, he writes, we had read last time also, कि श्वेतकेतो हारुणेय आस इति अध्याय इत्यादि अध्याय संबंधः सर्वं खल्विदं ब्रह्म तज्जलान् इति उक्तम् कथं तस्मात् जगद् इदं जायते तस्मिन् एव च लीयते अन् इति च तेन एव इति एतद् वक्तव्यम्. Bhagavan says that in the 3rd chapter it was mentioned in the Upasana in Shandilya Vidya. Upasana was mentioned to be done on Brahma Upasana. And there in this 3rd chapter, 14th section, the mantra is there. कि सर्वं खल्विदं ब्रह्म तज्जलान् इति शांत उपासीत अथ खलु क्रतुमयः पुरुषो यथा क्रतुः अस्मिन् लोके पुरुषो भवति तथेतः प्रेत्य भवति स क्रतुं कुर्वीत. So in this first mantra of the 14th section, 3rd chapter, the Upanishad talks about this upasana, that consider this whole world as Brahma. Meditate on Brahma as Tad Jalan. This Tad Jalan is like an acronym. Tad Jalan means Tad Ja, Tad Ala, and Tad An. Means Brahma should be meditated as the very cause of this world. Shankaracharya ji writes in his commentary, कि कथम सर्वस्य ब्रह्मत्वम् इति अत आह तज्जलाम् इति. And what is the meaning of तज्जलाम्? तस्मात् ब्रह्मणो जातम् तेजः अब अन्नादि क्रमेण सर्वम. That from that Brahma alone everything is born. All the 5 elements and all the modifications of the 5 elements, everything is born from that Brahma alone. Brahma is the very source. Therefore it is called Tajja. Then it is also indicated as Atah Tajjam तथा तेन एव जननक्रमेण प्रतिलोमतया तस्मिन् एव ब्रह्मणि लीयते तद आत्मतया श्लिष्यते इति तल्लम. So that Brahma is also indicated as tallam, means everything merges back into Brahma in the reverse order. See, when the creation happens, it happens in a particular sequence. Akash, Vayu, Agni, Jal, Prithvi. then the Panchikarana happens, then Trivritkarana happens, and all the bodies of all the beings are formed. But when the pralay happens, then it happens in a reverse order. So, and the whole thing gets merged into that Brahma only. So Brahma is indicated as Tallam, means everything merges into that Brahma. Then Tatha Tasmin Eva Sthiti Kale An iti Praniti Cheshtate iti. And when there is Sthiti, when the whole world is sustained, the world is sustained by Brahma alone. Therefore, it is indicated as Tad An. So, evam Brahma Atmataya Trishu Kaleshu Avishishtam Tad Vatirekena Agrahanat. That other than Brahma, there is nothing. This entire creation is not different from Brahma. Ataha tad eva idam jagat. So whole jagat is Brahma alone. Yathacha idam tad eva ekam advitiyam tatha shashte vistarena vakshamaha. So Shankaracharya ji says that detailed discussion will be done on this topic when I deal with the 6th chapter. So the topic of the 6th chapter is one about this Brahma and how the Brahma is indicated through the world. Brahma is the very source of this world. Everything is born in Brahma, everything is sustained in Brahma, and everything merges back into Brahma. So everything we know, we are conscious, we are aware, we can perceive this world, but we cannot perceive Brahma. So through this world, that Brahma is pointed out, Brahma is made to be understood by us. The Upanishads teach us, give us the knowledge of Brahma, taking support of this world, because the world and Brahma are related as Karya and Karana. World is the effect and Brahma is the cause. Just like things in this world also, if they have cause and effect relationship, so through the effect we can understand and comprehend the cause. Similarly, through this world, which is an effect, that Brahma is pointed out. So we can know that Brahma with the help of this Shastra, contemplating in the direction shown in the Shastra, we can comprehend that Brahma. So that Brahma which we can comprehend with the help of our buddhi is called Neya Brahma. The Brahma which I come to know, Neya Brahma. In Bhagavad Gita 13th chapter, also Bhagavan indicates this Neya Brahma. Neyam yattat pravakshami yat jnatva amritamashnute. Anadimat param brahman sattan nasaduchyate. In this way, he points out that Neya Brahma. So in this chapter, Bhagavan Shankaracharya ji, in his commentary, teaches us how to contemplate, how to think, to arrive at the understanding of this Brahma. So it's very logical, very rational, very beautiful chapter. So that is one topic. And there is one more topic in this chapter, which Bhagwan mentions further in his commentary. कि अनंतरम च एकस्मिन् भुक्ते विदुषी सर्वं जगत् तृप्तं भवति इति उक्तम् तद एकत्वे सति आत्मनः सर्वभूतस्थस्य उपपद्यते न आत्मभेदे कथंच तद एकत्वम् इति तदर्थो अयं षष्ठो अध्याय आरभ्यते. That there is one more thing which is mentioned in the fifth chapter. We will be studying the sixth chapter, but in the fifth chapter, there is this topic of Vaishvanara Vidya. That Vaishvanara Vidya is revealed in the fifth chapter, starting from the 11th section. There is story of 5 great rishis. Prachin Shala, Satyayajna, Indradhumna, Jana, and Budila. These 5 Rishiputras, the sons of great rishis, they had a discussion among themselves regarding what is that Atma and what is Brahman. So they just sat together to discuss and understand what exactly is the Atma and who is Brahma. So Mahashala Mahashrotriyaha Sametya Mimamsan Chakruhu Kona Atma Kim Brahma iti. But they could not arrive at any understanding. So they thought that we should approach someone who knows about it. So they went to another rishi, Uddhalaka. Uddhalaka Rishi, the father of Shvetaketu. So they approached that Uddhalaka Rishi to gain this knowledge of that Vaishvanara Atma. But Uddhalaka Rishi came to know that these seekers are coming to me, but I don't know the knowledge of this Vaishvanara Atma, so I cannot teach them this, but I know who knows it. So when these 5 approached Uddhalaka, he said that there is one king, Kekaya Kumara, whose name is Ashwapati. That Ashwapati king, he knows about this Vaishvanara Atma. So let us all go to him and learn. So they all go to this king and request him to teach them about this Vaishvanara Atma. These seekers themselves were also doing some upasana according to their own understanding about the Vaishvanara Atma, but their understanding was limited. It was not proper. So the king asked one of them that you tell me what type of upasana do you do? So one of them, he said that I meditate on that Vaishvanara as Devalok, as the heavens, as the outer space. I meditate on Vaishvanara as the outer space. So the king said that what you are doing is good. It will help you, but it is not complete because you are meditating only on the head of Vaishvanara Atman. And if you had not come to me, then your head would have broken and fallen down. Means it would have harmed you because you are meditating only on one aspect of that Vaishvanara Atma. Then the king asked the other seeker that what do you meditate upon? He said that I meditate on the sun as Vaishvanara. So the king said, okay, this is fine, but that is also not complete. The sun is only the eyes of that Vaishvanara Atma. If you meditate only on these eyes, that will not be complete, that will not be good also. It will harm you. Then he asked the third one that on what do you meditate upon? So he said that I meditate on the Vayu, on the air as Vaishvanara, the air which is there around us. I meditate on that as Vaishvanara Atma. So the Rishi said, the king said that that is also not complete. That Vayu is only prana of that Vaishvanara Atma. Then he asked the other seeker that tell me what you meditate upon. And he said, I meditate on the inner space. The inner space, antariksha. I will explain in detail. So I meditate on the antariksha as Vaishvanara Atma. So the king Ashwapati said that is also not complete. That is also only the middle portion of this Vaishvanara Atma. Then he asked another seeker that tell me what do you meditate upon? And he said that I meditate on the waters as Vaishvanara Atma. So the king said that is also a limited expression of that Vaishvanara. It's only the bladder of that Vaishvanara. Then he asked the sixth one that what do you meditate upon? So he said, I meditate upon the Prithvi, the earth, as Vaishvanara. So Ashwapati said that earth is only the feet of Vaishvanara. That is not a complete meditation of Vaishvanara and it will be harmful. So finally Ashwapati taught them a complete, proper upasana of Vaishvanara Atma. See, we have seen before also many times who is Vaishvanara. See, we know all the Shastras, they talk about that supreme one reality as Brahma. And Brahma alone, when spoken of along with its Shakti, is indicated as Ishvara. And Ishvara alone expresses first as Hiranyagarbha, with his body as the Panchatanmatras, with Samashti Mana, Samashti Buddhi, Samashti Ahankar, Samashti Prana, that is Hiranyagarbha. And Hiranyagarbha does the Panchikaranam. He converts the 5 tanmatras into gross 5 elements. And that becomes the body of Vaishvanara. So the entire gross world with all that is there is the body of that Vaishvanara. Vaishvanara Atma. That Vaishvanara alone then creates the bodies for the Devatas, for the plants, and for other beings. So one of the upasanas which are mentioned in our Shastra, very subtle upasana, is Vaishvanara upasana. To meditate on Vaishvanara as our own self. To identify with Vaishvanara as ourself. See, we all know about upasana, which we do. The pujas and all which we do is called upasana only. So we invoke the presence of Bhagwan in a murti and do the puja. So we have a beautiful murti of Bhagwan Shri Krishna or Sri Rama or Ganesha. And in that murti we invoke the Devata, we do Avahan, and then we do the various upachar, asan, padhyam, arghyam, etc. We do the seva of that Devata invoked in that murti. So this is upasana only, but this is called pratika upasana. We take an object, a murti, as representing that supreme Devata. So a murti is made up of stone, beautifully carved into the form of Krishna. But that stone itself is not Krishna. It is just a stone. But in that stone, we invoke the presence of Bhagwan Shri Krishna. And after invoking the presence of Bhagwan, we do the puja, we do the seva of that murti, considering it as Krishna only. That is called pratika upasana. Recently we celebrated the Independence Day, and we had this Ghar Ghar Tiranga. Everywhere we could see the tricolor flag fluttering in all homes, in everyone's hands. So what is this tricolor? It is a pratika of our nation. So when we hoist the tricolor, when we salute the flag, when we sing the national anthem, when we respect and revere the flag, actually we are just taking it as a pratik, as a symbol. What we are doing is expressing our reverence to the nation. We are expressing our love for the nation, our dedication to the nation. So though we are saluting the flag, but inside, in our heart, in our buddhi, we know that we are saluting the nation. That is called pratika upasana. Such upasanas are done in the world in different ways. But the Upanishad also mention another type of upasana, higher, subtler type of upasana, which is called alambana upasana. Alambana upasana, in which the Shastras give some object as support for us to do the upasana. And in this alambana upasana, we have to identify with that devata. For example, Vaishvanara upasana, which is mentioned here, is alambana upasana. We should not only, it is not that we should take some pratika, some idol of Vaishvanara and do the puja. It is not a pratika upasana, but alambana upasana, wherein we have to meditate on actually Vaishvanara himself, not on his some symbol, some object, but on Vaishvanara himself. And who is Vaishvanara? Everything is Vaishvanara. This whole gross physical world is the body of Vaishvanara. Vaishvanara is the very Atma of this whole world. And he is not different from us. Vaishvanara is not different from our own self. So even before we can comprehend that I am Brahma, I should be able to comprehend that I am Vaishvanara. I can take smaller steps, though it is a huge step, but we can take steps towards that understanding that I am Brahma. Ultimately, I have to understand I am Brahma. But in the beginning itself, immediately, we will not be able to understand nor will be able to comprehend and meditate on ourselves as Brahma. Therefore, the Shastras gives us steps, like in Mandukya Upanishad also, in detail, the steps are given. That first you take one step towards Brahma by considering yourself, identifying with Vaishvanara. Then in the second step, you identify with Hiranyagarbha. In the third step, you identify with Ishvara. And with that identification with Ishvara itself, you will reach the fourth step of identifying with Brahma. So that is the Vaishvanara Upasana, very, very interesting and subtle, which is described in detail in the 5th chapter of this Upanishad. So after telling the seeker that what you are meditating is only one aspect of that Vaishvanara, the teacher, that is Ashwapati, the king, he told them finally how to meditate on Vaishvanara completely, properly. And there is this mantra in the 5th chapter, the 18th section, and the second mantra. So he says, ki tasya hava etasya atmanah vaishvanarasya murdha eva sutejaha chakshuhu vishwarupaha Prana pratak vartma sandeho bahulaha bastireva raihi prithiveva padau ura eva vedir lomani barhi hridayam garhapatyo mano anvaharya pachana asyamahavahniyaha. So the Ashwapati, he says that Vaishvanara, to help us meditate, see, even to comprehend the totality is not so easy. So to help us meditate on that Vaishvanara, the Shastra gives the image of that Vaishvanara so that we can look at this whole vast creation, visualize that Vaishvanara, and meditate on him as our own self. And what is the image given? It begins with the head of that Vaishvanara. So tasya hava etasya atmanaha Vaishvanarasya murdha eva suteja. The head of Vaishvanara is the Suteja, that is Devlok. Devlok is the outer space. See, let us first understand this space. We know that space is everywhere, all pervading. Our earth is in space. The whole solar system is in space. And our sun is actually within this galaxy. So there is space in which the entire galaxy is there. Space is there in which the entire our galaxy is there, in which our sun is also there, and all the planets are there. This is the inner space. In Sanskrit, it's called Antariksha. Therefore, we have this Antariksha Yan and all. The satellites and all are going out. They are only going into this inner space. But outside our galaxy, also there is space. And in that space, there are billions and billions of other galaxies are there. Like after this, our Milky Way galaxy, many light years away, is the Andromeda galaxy, which is seen as only a little star when we look in the sky. Even huge galaxies are seen, if at all they are seen as stars. But when we focus the telescope on those stars, we will find that they are huge galaxies made up of billions of stars. So the space outside our galaxy is called Devlok, or the heavens, or outer space, which contains billions and billions of galaxies. That is indicated here as the head of Vaishvanara. The head of Vaishvanara. Then we see the sun, the beautiful our sun. We see the sunrise, sunset. We see the sun in the afternoon shining so bright. So that sun is to be visualized as the eyes of Vaishwanara. The sun is the eyes of Vaishwanara. So Chakshuhu Vishwarupaha. This Vishwarupaha, the sun, Chakshuhu, the eyes. Then Prana Pratak Vartma. Then the Vayu which is there surrounding this earth, everywhere we can experience the air. That air has to be meditated upon as the prana, the breath of Vaishwanara. I hope all of you are listening and in tune with what I'm saying, huh? I don't see you. Then Sandeho Bahulaha. Then the inner space, the space which is in which our sun is there, and all these planets are there, and all this galaxy, our galaxy is there, the inner space is like the middle portion, the body, middle portion of Vaishwanara. Then Basti Reva Rai. Then the waters, we not only have moisture in the atmosphere, but we have these various water bodies on earth, the oceans and the rivers and ponds and lakes. So water, like the bladder of Vaishwanara. And finally, Prithvi eva padau, the Prithvi on which we are living, this earth is to be considered as the feet of Vaishwanara. Now see, very interesting it is. And that is the grand upasana which is mentioned. To understand ourselves as Brahma, we have to at least expand our vision and comprehend ourselves as Vaishwanara. See, a person who is extremely poor, born in poverty, whose family is poor, whose grandparents were poor, whose entire so many generations were poor. So such a person from that family, if he is to even imagine a lot of wealth, will not be able to imagine much because of the limitations of his own buddhi. Similarly, we who have identified with our own limited body, not only in this life, but in previous lifetimes also, to comprehend this Vaishwanara is not very easy. But to put forth effort to do this itself is our sadhana. Doing this pratika upasana, bringing Bhagwan and making him small, is fine. It is a first step. But the final step is to meditate on the actual, that Vaishwanara. And identify. See, when we do pratika upasana, we don't have to identify. We should not consider ourselves as that idol. we should not consider ourselves as the Murti, but consider Bhagwan as that Murti and do the puja. But in case of this Alamban Upasana, we ourselves should consider ourselves as that Vishwanara. So beginning from the feet, now here the description was from the head to feet. Now let us try to understand from feet to the head. So when I am out in the open, I see the earth on which I am standing or on which I am sitting. So the entire earth, which is itself so vast, our earth is so vast. Nowadays, with all our flights and all, we can take a round of the whole earth. Some 40,000 kilometers, I think, circumference is there. So vast, with so many different types of beings, and all of us, we live on this earth. So when I'm sitting on earth, I should visualize that earth as the feet of Vaishwanara. I'm sitting at the feet of Vaishwanara. Then the waters which are there on earth and which is there in the atmosphere, in the clouds, should imagine, visualize them as the bladder of Vaishwanara, as the water in Vaishwanara. Then we see and experience the Vayu around. The whole earth is surrounded by the atmosphere, the air which we breathe, and it keeps on moving. That Vayu is like the breath of that Vaishwanara. So when you experience that Vayu, visualize that Vayu as the breath of Vaishwanara. He is breathing around, the air moving, and sometimes he breathes so heavily there is that cyclone and that and storm and all. So the air is the prana of Vaishwanara. Then we look up, we see the space which is surrounding the whole, this encompassing this air and everything. And up to the sun, we see so much of space around. So all this space which we can comprehend around is the body of that Vaishwanara. So vast. And when we look up, we see the sun shining. Those are the eyes of Vaishwanara. He is looking at us through that sun. And beyond that sun, all the space which is there with billions of stars and galaxies, unimaginably vast, is the head of Vaishwanara. See, just imagine a tiny little ant which is crawling on your feet. That ant, when it tries to imagine you, it is standing, it is moving on your feet, and it is looking up. Far away, it can see your eyes and your head. In the same way, we are also like tiny little with our body sitting on the feet of Vaishvanara and, and meditating on that Vaishvanara. But this whole vast world is the body of Vaishvanara. But the self of Vaishvanara, the Atma of Vaishvanara is not different from me. The Atma of Vaishvanara and is same as me. So this Vaishvanara Upasana, a person who does Vaishvanara Upasana should consider himself as Vaishvanara. And so much so identification happens that when he eats something, when this Upasak eats, that food satisfies the entire creation because he has identified with the whole creation. So when he eats, everyone feels satiated. Because he is eating not as an individual but as Vaishvanara. So this whole upasana, a very, very esoteric, very subtle upasana is mentioned. And even stories are there in our Puranas where these Rishi Munis and all used to do this upasana. And just feeding them, everyone will feel satisfied. And Bhagwan Sri Krishna himself, as that Ishvara, when he manifested as Krishna, he is also expression of that Vaishvanara. Vaishvanara is within that Krishna only. Vaishvanara, Hiranyagarbha are in Bhagwan Sri Krishna. So there is a story in Mahabharata wherein when the Pandavas along with Draupadi and all were staying in the forest, a rishi, Durvasa Rishi, used to be very powerful rishi and used to get angry also at times. So Durvasa Rishi, he came along with his disciples. Suddenly he landed up at the kutia of Draupadi and the Pandavas where they were staying. And they said, we want to have food. Give us food to eat. They said, we will just go to the river, take bath and come and then eat food. But the Pandavas, they had already eaten their food and they had washed their vessels also. And they could not prepare all this food immediately and all those. And the Durvasa Rishi would get angry. The food is not ready. So Draupadi was in a fix what to do. At that time, suddenly, Bhagwan Krishna, he appeared there. And he said, I am hungry, please give me food. Draupadi said, oh, Bapre. Now I am worried about feeding the rishi and here Bhagwan has come. So she said, we have just finished our food, washed our vessels also. Bhagwan said, nothing doing. You bring the vessel. So she brought the vessel. And luckily there was one grain of food still there in the vessel. Bhagwan said, see, it is there. What you have cooked, some portion is still there. I will eat. So he just picked up that and ate. And when Krishna ate it, a great miracle happened. All the rishis who had gone to take bath, suddenly they felt full. All their hunger disappeared. They felt full, satiated completely. So much so that the rishis thought that now if we go there, we will have to eat more. So let us go from here only. So that happens because of this Vaishvanara Upasana, that the one who eats with that identifying with Vaishvanara, then everyone feels satiated. Now this is possible if Atma is one. If there are many Atmas, then if I eat, you will not feel satisfied because I am different, you are different. But if I, you, and everyone are same, and when myself is satisfied, then everyone's self will get satisfied because they are same. So this Vaishvanara Upasana is described in the 5th chapter, which indicates that the Atma must be same. That's what Bhagavan says in his commentary. कि अनंतरम च एकस्मिन् भुक्ते विदुषी सर्वं jagat truptam bhavati. If one person eats, everyone feels satiated. Iti uktam, this was said, tad ekatve sati atmanah sarvabhutasthasya upapadyate. This can be possible only if the Atma is one in all. Na Atma bhede, not if the Atma is different. If the Atma in this body, in your body, in that body, in this body is different, then this experience is not possible. But if Atma is one, then this is possible. So how come Atma is one? Because we experience or we feel as though it is different in different bodies. So how is that Atma is one? That also is taught in this chapter, 6th chapter. So kathancha tad ekatvam iti tadartho yam shashto adhyayah arabhyate. To teach that this 6th chapter begins. So these two topics are there in the 6th chapter. One is about Brahma. The Brahma is indicated with the help of the world. And the ekatva of that Atma is one. So Brahma is pointed out, Atma is pointed out. And finally, the Upanishad tells about their oneness by saying Tattvamasi. Oneness of Atma and Brahma is indicated through the Mahavakya Tattvamasi. And all this is conveyed through a beautiful story of father and son. So Pita Putrakhyayika Vidyayaha Sarishtatva Pradarshanartha. So through the story of father and son, Uddhalaka and his son Shvetaketu, this whole teaching is given through this story. And the story is utilized to convey the importance of this knowledge, and also for easy comprehension. So from our next class, we will begin with this story and the teaching. So till then, you take care. Be happy, safe, peaceful, healthy. do your work, do your sadhana, listen to the pravachan again, read Bhagwan Sri Adi Shankaracharya's commentary. No other thing is required. Read his commentary again and again and again, and then listen to the pravachan again and again, and also meditate, contemplate to understand. Okay? So more we will see on Friday. Hari Om. Shri Ram Jaya Ram Jaya Jaya Ram. 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 Jaya Jaya Ram. Jaya Jaya Ram. Boliye Siyavar Ramchandra Bhagwan ki Jai. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamadachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vasishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.